Welcome to Rouse Rising. I'm Katie, and today's video I am sharing with you 4 breakfasts that you can make ahead for a seamless week. If you are like me and you are a person who struggles to get your act together in the morning, I wake up really early, but when the kids wake up and they are hungry, I have to stop whatever I'm doing and prepare them a meal. So my favorite thing to do is prepare them breakfast days in advance and make some breakfast for a few days in a row. So in this video right now, I'm going to start out with my standard overnight oats recipe. This is 2 cups of oats in a quart jar. We're going to do about 1/8 of a cup of chia seeds in there, about 1/4 cup of coconut, shredded coconut, and then we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then we're going to go in with a scoop of protein powder, some maple syrup, probably 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and we're going to top it off with about 4 tablespoons of yogurt, and then fill it up with your milk of choice. One of these I'm going to be using almond milk, and the other one I'm going to be using cow's milk. But I'm going to save one of these with all of the dry ingredients to just add milk on another night. So my kids will typically eat a quart jar at one sitting, well, split between the 5 of them, in addition with fruit. So that will get them through one breakfast, and then I have the other jar the next night. All I have to do is add milk and it is ready to go. You can go ahead and meal prep up all of your dry ingredients and add your wet ingredients. So you can make like 6 jars, 10 jars at a time, and then you have a couple weeks worth of your overnight oats, because these store really well with all the dry ingredients and they last for about 3 to 4 days in your refrigerator. Anytime that I have some leftover overnight oats, let's say they don't finish the jar on that morning, if I don't save it for the next day, sometimes I'll add it to my bread recipe or a cookie recipe or a sheet pancake recipe. So if you find that you're not getting through all the overnight oats that you make, you can make them in a smaller jar for yourself for single servings. Or you can use the leftover overnight oats in a cookie recipe or in a bread recipe, and that's just fine. It works really well to use up all of the food so that you're not wasting anything. All right, I'm going to store this in the fridge. I'm going to store my other jar in the pantry, and then I'm going to work on getting all of these items away. It is late at night. Kids are already in bed, and I have a big day planned the following day to do a large meal prep for breakfasts for this video, and so that I am prepared for this really hectic week that's coming up ahead. We've got a family member that's coming to visit from Virginia, and then we are doing some traveling. So we wanted to be sure to get a few things meal prepped in advance so that our week goes a little bit smoother. My lovely neighbor Cindy gave me some beautiful zucchinis about 2 weeks ago, and I have been working to use them up, and I am down to the last 2 zucchinis today, so I'm going to use those in the meal prep for this week. We're going to use both of those large zucchinis. I am shredding them up with a fine grater, and this is about 2 cups of zucchini, and then I'm going to use, this is probably 2 to 4 cups of spinach in my Vitamix mixer. I'm just going to mix up my quiche mixture in the blender, and it's going to work out really well. Next, I'm going to add 14 to 16 eggs to my blender, and then I'm going to add some milk. And so we're just going to cram as many ingredients as we can in here, and we're going to do about 1 teaspoon of salt to this as well to get it seasoned. I've also shredded some Monterey Jack cheese. Use whatever cheese you have on hand for your quiches. This is a crustless quiche, but I'm going to find that it's a little bit too watery with the addition of the zucchini. So my first batch of muffins that I'm going to make are just going to go in as is with this mixture. And then the second batch, I'm actually going to be adding some gluten-free flour to kind of make them more like an eggish muffin to absorb some of that moisture. So you can use all-purpose flour in your mix, and you just want to add enough to keep it still like a runny egg mixture, but it's enough to kind of hold it together a little bit better so that when you bake it, it firms up a little bit better and it's not a sopping wet mess like my first batch without the gluten-free flour. So I use a 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. It is, you can substitute it 1 cup of that for 1 cup of all-purpose flour in your recipes. So in this video, as I make these gluten-free recipes, you can use all-purpose flour in place of the gluten-free flour that I am using in this video. So once we get all these eggs cracked in here, we are going to blend this on low. I'm just going to blend it on low, get that spinach chopped up, and we're also going to dump in the zucchini that's shredded up fine here, and we're just going to get everything blended in. Then I'm going to throw in some cheese and blend that, but I definitely overfilled my blender, not enough to make a mess, but enough to not be able to add all of the ingredients, because I like to do it big around here. Maybe I need an industrial sized blender for the size of family that I have, because we're starting to outgrow this one, and I'm on the border of needing to make 2 batches of everything in my blender to feed my growing family. I've got a preteen, and that boy can eat. They all love to eat, so we got to figure this out. I also no longer have a food processor to process things much quicker, so that is something that we need to look into here soon. My oven is set to 365 degrees just because my oven tends to run a little bit on the hot side. So we are going to be baking these until they are done in the middle. The mini muffins are going to bake for about 15 minutes, and the larger muffins are going to bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. The larger muffins in the larger muffin tins that I did not add the flour to, those are going to be little egg pucks or little quiche pucks that we can put on English muffins. You're going to see here in just a minute, but they are the perfect size just to put on a little English muffin or on a bagel and have a quick little breakfast just like that.
Give me a reason to get out of bed. I need a minute to think, or maybe 2. 'Cause yesterday I lost control and said some things I felt that you should know. I need a day to clear my mind and leave it all behind. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight. Tomorrow I let my worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day tomorrow. I keep repeating the same mistakes. I did them all before, in every shape. There's a million ways to mess things up, and I need some time to figure out what to say and make our troubles disappear. Oh, tomorrow's near. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. Let all our worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day tomorrow. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Tomorrow I will set things straight. Tomorrow's gonna be okay. Let all my troubles go away. Tomorrow it's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day tomorrow. It's gonna be okay, no matter come what may. I'm gonna set things straight tomorrow. Let all the worries fade, let them sweep away. There'll be another day tomorrow. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Tomorrow. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Tomorrow.
I'm gonna freeze these on a baking sheet, flash freeze them along with this little casserole dish, what's inside of it, not the dish. And we are going to place those in a Ziploc bag. There's these beautiful zucchinis I'm using in this video. I'm gonna be using one of these zucchinis to make a double chocolate zucchini muffin that is gluten-free and loaded with protein powder. We are gonna be using EarthChimp protein powder. It is chocolate flavored and loaded with organic ingredients. I'm gonna leave you a link down below in this video's description if you are looking for a protein powder to use in all of your delicious recipes so that you can feed your family some quality, nutritious food, then check that out. Link down below in this video's description. For this recipe, again, I'm using 1-to-1 gluten-free flour, but you can use all-purpose flour. I'm gonna start out with 2 cups of this flour, and then we're going to add all of our dry ingredients into this bowl, and then we are going to add our wet ingredients. So for this recipe, I am doubling it so that I can make extra muffins. So it calls for a half a cup of cocoa powder, but I'm going to use a full cup, and I'm actually going to sift it into another bowl because it's super chunky, and then we're going to add it in with our flour. We're also going to add 2 teaspoons of our baking soda, 1 full teaspoon of Redmond's real salt. Like always, it's linked down below in this video's description with 10% off and free shipping on orders over 30. We're going to add 4 eggs to our mixture, and we're going to be adding in some brown sugar to this as well. And to make the brown sugar, I'm going to use 1 cup of cane sugar, and then I'm going to use about a teaspoon of molasses. I'm using blackstrap molasses for that extra iron content, and we're just going to mix these together. You can do this in your food processor, or you can do this by hand. It just takes about a minute, as you're gonna see here. I'll speed it up just a smidge, but it doesn't take very long to mix the molasses in with your cane sugar or your white sugar, whatever you have on hand. And then you have perfect brown sugar. You can make it light brown sugar, dark brown sugar, but it's not going to be hard and clumped together. It's just sugar on the fly. It takes just a couple of extra moments, an extra step to do this. And since I have learned how to make brown sugar at home, it has been a game changer for me. I had to use up all the brown sugar I had stored up and stocked up, but now this is how I do my brown sugar. This month, I really need to place an order, or actually next month, I've got to remember to place my order through Azure because I am down to my last cups of sugar. This recipe, the single recipe, calls for 7 tablespoons of butter, but I'm going to go ahead and do 14. But the sticks come with a little bit extra, so we're just going to do a little bit extra, and we did 2 sticks of butter, which comes out to 1 cup of butter. So yes, a little bit extra than what the recipe calls for, but that's okay. A little extra fat didn't hurt anybody. I'm also going to go in here with about a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. It's going to make these muffins nice and moist. They are absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite recipes. You can actually make this into a loaf if you want to. You don't have to make it muffins. I do have the loaf recipe, which is the same as this, on my channel. I will link it down below in this video's description just so you have the exact recipe for this in case I missed anything in this video. Here we are adding our 2 cups of fine shredded zucchini to our wet mixture. We're gonna get all of this incorporated, and then we're gonna combine the wet and dry mixture. If I had thought this through, and I do this often, I would have mixed all of my ingredients in the really large bowl, all my wet ingredients, and then I would have added my dry ingredients to the large bowl. However, I did this opposite, and because I don't want to clean 2 bowls, you know, have 2 super messy bowls, I'm going to try to squeeze it all into this tiny bowl. I think I can do it. So we need a teaspoon of vanilla extract into our wet ingredients. And now it's time to add the dry ingredients and get it all incorporated. So we did a 1 scoop for each recipe. We doubled this recipe, so we did 2 scoops of the protein powder, EarthChimp protein powder, the 1 cup of cocoa powder, the 2 cups of flour, the 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and the full teaspoon of Redmond's real salt. We're gonna get all of this mixed up and incorporated, and we are going to add about 1.5 to 2 cups of chocolate chunks. This is probably closer to 1 cup, 1.5 cups of chocolate chunks, but use what you have. There you go. I emptied the bag out. We're gonna fold those in, and then we're gonna use an ice cream scooper, a small sized one that's like a cookie scooper, to fill our muffin tins. So 2 scoops fills a medium size or a cupcake size muffin tin, and 1 scoop is gonna fill the mini muffins. These are going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven. The small muffins are going to go in for about 15 minutes, and the cupcake-sized muffins are going to go in for 20 to 25 minutes until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. Up, we are taking my standard daily loaf of bread, and when it gets to be about a day or 2 old, when it starts to get a little dry, we like to mix it up and make some French toast with it. So I will either use my day or 2 old bread to make French toast casserole, maybe an egg casserole on the savory side, different things like that. So that's what we are working on right now. We're going to slice up all this French toast, and I'm going to make it, and then we are going to allow it to cool on a wire rack completely. And once it's cooled, we can flash freeze it in the freezer, and then we can put it in a Ziploc bag, remove all the air with a straw from the Ziploc bag, and then place it back in the freezer. Make sure you label and date your breakfast items, and then we can have this French toast on another morning. All you have to do to reheat it is place it in your toaster oven or into a toaster, or even into a pan on low heat on the stove top, and that will get it heated back up. Top with as you please, bananas, maple syrup, all the delicious stuff. So we're gonna crack 5 eggs into here, and we're gonna add about 1.5 cups of milk, along with maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon of Redmond's real salt. We're also gonna do about a teaspoon of pumpkin spice seasoning this time. Sometimes we do cinnamon, sometimes we do pumpkin spice. It just depends on our mood, and all of this combined makes a delicious soak for the toast. And then I soak the toast and throw it in my cast iron skillet. Stay tuned, click subscribe, click the notification bell, because on this day when I made the French toast, I also made a video about how to clean your cast iron skillet. And so that's going to be coming up in a future video very soon, but you're going to see right now, I'm making this French toast after I've cleaned my skillet. I used soap in my cast iron skillet to prove that it doesn't ruin the seasoning on your cast iron skillet. So I cleaned it with soap and immediately oiled it back up, threw it on the stove on some heat, and let it come to a cool temp after that, and then heated it back up to make this French toast. And my pan is beautifully nonstick, as you are going to see here in just a minute. So I like to make what I call, and I might not be correct on this, but I make vegetable fritters. And right here we have a zucchini and a squash shredded up. It's about 3.5 cups of that. And you can season it however you want to, but I'm doing a combination of salt. We've got some onion powder here. We've got some garlic powder. Paprika has been a favorite lately. A little bit of parsley. We're going to do nutritional yeast in here as well. I might do some seasoned salt. I don't know, probably not. And then we're going to use the 1-to-1 flour. And where this really gets its flavor though is the nutritional yeast. Instead of adding cheese, I make it with nutritional yeast. And these are really good. We just smear a bit of mayonnaise on top or whatever type of sauce you like. They're like little vegetable pancakes.
It's so much harder now to reach you. Your heart is floating in the sky. We known each other for so long. We know our love like an old song. Sing along one more time.
Belly with that. I want y'all to fill your belly with these.
Okay. I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah, dude, do it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this breakfast meal prep video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked hanging out with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until next time, bye.